Hi, my name is Maddie, and today we'll be making this multi-puffed sleeved cardigan. I wasn't entirely sure what to call it, but as you can see, it has this folds down the arm that kind of creates this puffy look. I also really want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed. It's so nice of you to do that. So yeah, let's start making this cardigan. For this project, we will actually need 3 different sizes of hooks. You need one 4mm, one 5mm, and then one 7mm. The yarn that I decided to use for this is this mix of cotton, wool, and acrylic. And as you can see, it is quite thick. The recommended hook size is actually 6mm, but we're gonna mix it up and use a lot of different sizes. I ended up using 11 of these. I actually ran out though, so maybe add one more if you wanna make the same size. And then you also need some needles. The first thing we'll be doing is to create this back piece. I just wanted to show you guys it before we actually start working on it. The main thing about this is that we will be working up and down, up and down. And you can see that it has these sections, which is kind of narrower at some parts. And that is just because we're using a different size needles for those sections. So we're not actually making a different stitch or anything. If you want the measurements, it is about 42 centimeters across. That is measuring the narrowest parts. And then if we measure the length, it is, let's see, about 52 centimeters. I would say this is something between a small and a medium, as always. Okay, so let's get started. The first hook you're gonna grab is your 4mm. So just make a slip knot. And you can do this however way you like the best. And we will start by chaining 12 chains with the 4mm hook. So that's one. Go under and you grab it and you just pull it through. So just chain 12 of those. And we are getting closer. Let's see. Yep, that's the 12. So you just remove the 4mm and grab the 7mm instead. And now we're gonna chain 20 using the 7mm hook. So that's 1, 2, 3, and just keep going until you have 20 of those. A few more. So that's 20. What you do next is that you remove your hook and then you grab the 5mm. And this time we're gonna chain 6 using the 5mm. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you're gonna go back to the 7mm again. So the next thing you're gonna do is that you're gonna chain 20 more using the 7mm. Then you're gonna go back to the 5mm and chain 6. And then you're gonna go back to the 7mm again and chain 21 this time. So I will let you go on with that. In the end, you should have one long chain which has 12 chains using the 4mm, 20 using the 7, 6 using the 5, 20 using the 7, 6 using the 5, and 21 using the 7. Okay, so I am at the top and we will start working our way back. So you go into that first stitch, then you grab the yarn, pull it through, and then you grab the yarn and you pull it through again. Then you go into the next one, grab the yarn, pull it through, grab the yarn and pull it through both. And you will just continue doing that down until you reach the section where you use your 5mm hook. And as you can see, this is just normal single crochets. The most basic of stitches, but yeah, just continue doing that down all the way until you reach the section where you have to switch your needle or hook. Sorry, I keep saying needle. That is just because in Norway, where I'm from, we say crochet needle instead of crochet hook. So I apologize if I say needle. I do mean hook. But yeah, just continue down, making single crochets. Oh, kind of messed it up there. I'm gonna do that over again. That is the thing I like the most about crocheting though, that if you mess it up, it is quite easy to just to redo it compared to knitting. And I think we're there. Just count, you should have 20 stitches. And I only had 19, so that's one more. And there we go, that's my 20 single crochet stitches using the 7mm. Switch to your 5mm, and this time we're gonna do slip stitches. So find that first stitch and just insert your needle into that stitch, and then you grab the yarn and then you just pull it through that loop. So the main difference is that after pulling the yarn through, you're not going to grab the yarn again. So you're going to do 6 slip stitches using your 5mm crochet hook. And once that is done, you're going to switch back to your 7mm crochet hook, and you're going to continue down doing single crochets. And you will just continue doing this all the way down until you reach the section where you use the 4mm crochet hook. Simple rule, if you're using your 7mm hook, you will be doing single crochets. If you're using your 5mm crochet hook, you will be doing slip stitches. So yeah, just continue the way down and we will meet up again, once that is done. Okay, so I have reached the section where I'm gonna switch to my 4mm crochet hook again, and we will be making single crochets. So you grab the yarn, pull it through, you grab the yarn and pull it through again. And you just continue making single crochets with your 4mm hook all the way down. So yeah, that is what we're going to be doing up and down. Just remember to use your use the correct hook sizes is basically the main rule. So yeah, that is my chain completed with the passing back down as well. You should have something that looks like this. It will become a bit shorter as you start working on it, in case you think it seems a bit long. The first thing you're going to do now is to just chain 1 and then turn your work. And we're still using the 4mm hook because that is the section we're working on. And then we are gonna make single crochets, but only into the back loop. So go into that back loop, you grab the yarn, pull it through, grab the yarn, and pull it through both. So the way you can do this is you hold it kind of against you, and you will see that it has these V's at the top, and you only want to work into like the back loop of those V's. So just continue making single crochets with your 4mm hook. Should be 12 stitches. Few more. And that is the last one. Okay, so switch back to your 7mm hook, because that's the section we'll be working on now. And you're going to continue doing single crochets into the back loop only. So that's going to be 20 single crochets using your 7mm hook only into the back loop. I'm sorry if I'm repeating a lot. I just know that when I first started crocheting, I really liked when the tutorial was very like detailed and repetitive, but I do get that if you're not new to crocheting, it's kind of annoying being fed this with a teaspoon. But yeah, I hope that's okay. I just want to make sure that also the beginners can sort of follow it. And I am almost done with my 20 stitches. I'm sorry about that beeping noise in the background. That is my dishwasher telling me that it is done, so just ignore that. Okay, a few more. And that is the last one. Okay, so switch back to your 5mm and we're gonna continue working into the back loop, but we're gonna make slip stitches. So you go into that back loop, and then you just grab the yarn, pull through, and then you pull through again. It should be 6 of those. So I think by now you kind of get the deal, what we're going to be doing. Just to repeat the main rule once more, whenever you use your 7 and 4mm hook, you're gonna make single crochets. When you use your 5mm hook, you're gonna make slip stitches. And from now on, we're only gonna use or work into the back loop. So the back loop always is the rule. And for the back piece, I made a total of 110 rows. As I said, that is probably something between a small and a medium, so feel free to make fewer or more if you want a different size. So yeah, continue working on the back piece, and we will meet back here when we are done. Okay, so we have all made the back piece. The next thing we're gonna do is to make the 2 front pieces, and they are made the exact same way as the back piece, just smaller, of course. So you can just use, go back if you want to see the tutorial again and do it the exact same way. The only difference is that I made 50 rows per front piece, which is about, let's see if we measure the narrowest parts, it is about 16 centimeters. So yeah, just make those 2 front pieces, and when that is done, we can continue on the arms. Okay, so the next part is to make the arms, and again I just want to show you how they're gonna look like before we start working on them. If you think it looks a bit long, that is because it's gonna be kind of puffed up when it's done. So it's gonna seem very, very long compared to how long an arm actually is. If we measure it, it is about, let's see, 69 centimeters. And then if you measure the narrowest part, it is about 23 centimeters. So this is what it's gonna look like, and it is basically using the exact same technique. The only change is the first part down here, which goes around the wrist, and then we're also adding like one more section of the 5mm and one more section of the 7mm, and then one more section of the 5mm crochet hook. So let's start. You're gonna grab your 4mm hook, just like before, and you make slip knot, and then you chain 12, just like before. Then you're gonna chain 12, as I said. And once that is done, you're going to switch to your 7mm crochet hook, and we are gonna chain 20. So I would say, if I am 175 centimeters tall, so if you are shorter, you probably have shorter arms as well. And I would probably chain 16 masks when I use the 7mm hook instead of 20. Yeah, continue making the chain. The difference is that you have to add one section of the 5mm, one more section of the 7mm, and then one last section of the 5mm. So this is my chain all completed, and as you can see, it is a lot longer than what the arm is going to end up being, and that is because it sort of shrinks together once you start going back down. So you're now using your 5mm hook, and you're making slip stitches, because that's what we always do when we use the 5mm hook. And you're going to do 6 of those. And that is it. So switch to the 7mm. And we, of course, are gonna make normal single crochets as we always do with the 7mm. And you just continue going down the whole chain, making slip stitches when needed and making single crochets when needed. The other thing you need to think about is that when you get all the way to the bottom, after making all these sections, and you get to the part which is going to be around your wrist, you're going to make slip stitches instead of single crochets. So make slip stitches when you use the 4mm hook from now on. And we now have all the pieces we need. So we have the back piece, we have the 2 front pieces, and then we have the 2 arm pieces, which look super long, but it will all make sense soon, I promise. So the next thing we want to do is to attach the 2 front pieces to the back piece. And to do that, you want like the side that has the threads, you want that to be laying down. And then for the front pieces, you want those sides up against you, because we want the seam to be on the inside of the sweater, of course. Well, not sweater, but cardigan, I guess. So just lay them out like this. And I like to crochet my pieces together. And for this particular project, you actually need to crochet them together. So you cannot be using a needle. You have to use your hook and crochet them together. And this is actually all the yarn I have left over, and it is probably not going to be enough to attach all the pieces. So we're gonna have to see what I'm gonna do about that. But yeah, let's zoom in and let's attach these two pieces together. So take your 5mm hook and insert it into both pieces, and then you grab your yarn and you just pull it through both of those loops, and then you just make a knot. And I like to make a lot of knots to make it secure, so I usually make like 2 or maybe 4 knots even. But yeah, and then insert your hook into those same 2 loops, and we're gonna do single crochets all the way across. So for the first one, just grab the yarn and pull through, and grab the yarn and pull through. And then you find those next 2 loops, you grab the yarn, pull it through, grab the yarn and pull it through. So yeah, just make single crochets all the way across until the first front piece is attached. And then you of course do the same thing with the other front piece on the other side. And when that is done, we will move on to the next step. Okay, so your 2 front pieces should be attached to your back piece, and if you just flip it the right way out, this is what the seam is going to look like. The next thing we're going to do is to attach the arm. So spread out your back piece and the 2 front pieces like this, with the seam up against you, so the inside up against you, basically. And then you grab one of the arms, and again you want the inside out for now, so you get all the seams on the inside of the cardigan. And for this part you need a stitch marker, but if you don't have that, just take a piece of yarn and use that instead. So find your stitch markers. Mine was on the floor, so I had to find it. And you want to find the middle part of your arm, which is approximately here, and then you just insert your stitch marker into both your arm and the main piece like this. Then you again grab your 5mm crochet hook. You can use your 4mm as well, of course. Just don't use the 7mm, because that's going to make it a bit difficult, I think. And as you can see here, I did run out of yarn, but I did luckily have the same yarn in a different color. And since this is just the seams on the inside, it will hopefully be okay. And this actually works out for us, because it's going to be more easy for you guys to see what I'm doing. Let me just zoom in a bit. You do the same as when attaching the front piece to the back piece. You put your hook through the front piece and the main piece. You grab the yarn and you just pull it through like this. And then you make a knot, preferably a double knot, maybe a triple one if you want to be 100% sure. And then you insert your hook into those 2 same loops. And you're going to do the same as you did earlier. You insert your hook, you grab the yarn, pull through, and grab the yarn and pull through. And then you insert your hook again. So for the arm piece, you don't want to work into every single stitch. You want to work into every other. Let's see if you can see that. So you want to work into those which is sort of like between the rows. So like every other stitch. So you don't want to work into that one, but that one. And then for the other piece, you just go into every single stitch. And you just continue making single crochet stitches all the way across, and then you of course want to do the same thing with the other arm as well. And when that is all done, we can meet back here. I need to stop saying meet up back here because it sounds really strange. We're not going to meet up anywhere, especially not during these times. But yeah, just attach your arms to your main piece, and we will continue on after that. Okay, so the arms are now attached and all the pieces are attached together. You can see the seam is really visible since I had to use the blue yarn instead of the green one. But anyways, the next thing you're going to do is to crochet up here, so all the pieces are attached the way they should. So again, you can just grab your 5mm crochet hook, insert it into both pieces, and then you're gonna grab your yarn and you're just gonna pull it through, and then as always make a double knot. I know some people don't like to actually like tie the yarn in using a knot. They just like to leave it loose, which is totally fine as well. Do whatever you like. Then insert your hook again into both pieces and grab the yarn, pull it through, grab the yarn, pull it through, and then go into those next stitches and grab the yarn, pull it through, grab the yarn and pull it through. So again, just making single crochets. And you want to do that all the way around on both sides. Okay, so now that we are done with that, we're gonna move on to the arms again, because we need to deal with these super long arms. Yeah, so what you want to do is grab your yarn, preferably the same color, but you know, I can't really do that. So grab your yarn and then cut a piece which is almost the same length as the arm. And then you need to find a needle. Let's see if I can get this on the first try. I could, well, that doesn't happen most of the time, does it? But yeah, you wanna put your needle into the first stitch of the section with your 7mm crochet hook, and then just secure it with a double knot. And you need to make a double knot for this. You cannot just leave the yarn loose. Okay, so grab your needle again, and we're gonna make like a zigzaggy pattern. So you just go into one stitch, out the back, and then go back into the next one from the back, like this. And you just continue doing that all the way until you reach the part where you use the 5mm hook instead. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, it was kind of lucky for us that I ran out of yarn, because it's a lot easier to see when yeah, I have a different color yarn for this part. But anyways, we are at the section we need to be. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna hold the yarn, and we want to make it sort of like half the length it was. So you just pull like this, so it becomes like half the length. And then we need to secure it, so just put your needle into the stitch like this, and then just go into the loop and just tighten it like this. And then we're gonna do the same for the next section. We're gonna make the zigzaggy pattern for the next 6 stitches like this. And this time you don't really need to tighten it, just pull the yarn through and then just secure it again the same way. Just go into a stitch and into the loop, just to secure it a bit. Then you're gonna do the same thing again. You just continue going through the whole seam all the way to the top. So yeah, just continue doing that up the whole arm. Once you reach the top of the arm, I will show you what to do next. Okay, so I have done my last section. I just need to tighten it and then secure it. Oops. That kind of sucks. Just need to get that into my needle again. Probably not gonna happen the first time this time, but it did. And then do just those last 6 stitches. And the reason you want to do that is because you want your yarn to you want to be able to tie that piece of yarn together with that other loose piece of yarn, just to secure it. But yeah, as you can see, you now have these 2 pieces next to each other. Just make a double knot or a triple. Well, I decided to do 4. Better safe than sorry, right? And then just cut your yarn. So now your arm kind of looks like this strange banana shaped thing. It's gonna look okay once you put it on, I promise. But yeah, the next thing we want to do is, well, if you just turn it around, let's zoom out. I already did the other arm as well. Yeah, if you look at the shoulder parts, it is super stretchy. So what we want to do is to make it not so stretchy, and I already did that on one side, so I will show you how to do that. You do the same. You want to cut a piece of yarn which is about the same size as the shoulder, and then you insert it into the needle. Yep. The second try was a good one. And you want to insert your hook, sorry, not hook this time, needle, into the shoulder piece. And I still had some green yarn left when I was crocheting together those pieces. So this time the seam is actually the same color as the sweater, but it is basically the exactly same thing we've done earlier. So start making that zigzaggy pattern. Well, it's not a pattern, but you know what I mean. Make that all the way across the shoulder. Until you reach the other side. So I've gone all the way across, and now you want to do what you did earlier, but you don't want to like reduce it half the size, just reduce it maybe 1/3, like this. And then all you have to do is to just secure it. this. And again, I found a loose thread or piece of yarn nearby, so I'm gonna make a double knot. Okay, so now you can see it is a lot less stretchy. And that is basically it. All you have to do now is to turn it the right way. And I will admit that the arms look kind of funny when you are not wearing the cardigan, but I think it looks so cool when you actually have it on, with like all the puffs or folds or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, that is the sweater. All you have left to do is to take all those loose pieces of yarn, take your needle, and then just sort of sew them into your fabric. So that's it. I really hope you liked this tutorial and that you ended up really liking your sweater as well. I think it's super cute. Yeah, I will try to post more videos, so please like and subscribe if you wanna keep up to date or get notified whenever I post something. Bye!